Oh, baby, what's up? We're going live in a parking garage, just getting ready for Thanksgiving. And we got so much to be thankful for, man. Our fearless leader, Wes Miller, hauls in a 5-star recruit, top 30 in the country. Depending on the publication, he may be a high 4. But just watch the kid's highlights. Shon Abaev, star, 6'8", sharpshooter, just dropped 40 in his game with overtime elite. Got a lot to break down with him. I got the pure Adam Finkelstein, director of scouting, breakdown in front of me. But just from watching him play, man, I've compared him to Brandon Ingram, someone that loves isolation basketball and they can put the ball in the bucket. Main reason for committing to Cincinnati, he believes Wes Miller has the stuff to get him to the NBA after one season. Bearcats may have just got themselves a one and done. What's up, dude?
Hey, feeling good. Now, if any publication puts 5 stars on a name, we're going with 5-star. Because 247 Composite, which compiles all of the recruiting sites into one and then ranks all the players from there, he's a 5-star on that. I'm going with 5-star. I don't want to see any of this high 4-star. Any publication gives you 5 stars, I'm running with it. All right, say we got a 5-star commit. He's awesome. He is awesome. I was talking to somebody and they're like, hey, any chance to describe his game? As somebody in the know. And they're like, elite offensive talent. That's exactly how you describe this guy. You don't point at one thing when talking about him. He scores in many different ways. He's a huge get. He's a lot to be thankful for today.
Huge get. This comes on the heels of the Bearcats hitting 6-0 on the season. After Wes Miller was, quite frankly, disappointed. Didn't use the words pissed off, but Wes was pissed off with their performance against Alabama State. And he wasn't looking ahead to a commitment today that he knew was happening. He was focused with the guys on the floor. But Shon Abaev, man, one of the most polished one-on-one scorers in the national class, a big southpaw wing. So, yes, he is a lefty, a good positional size, increasingly strong body. He's a volume scorer that's capable of creating his own shot at virtually any time, including against a set half-court defense. So let's start there with the fact that over the years, this has been a program that's really struggled in the half court. And based on some of the comparisons I'm getting now, isolation ball can make the move by himself. And that's the biggest question with Shon Abaev. Like, is he going to be able to mesh well with others and move the ball? Because he's been kind of described as somewhat of a ball stopper. We had a ball stopper for years and a guy named Sean Kilpatrick, and he was massive in half-court sets, man. You give him the ball, you isolate, you go to work. First 5-star signing for Cincinnati, and he is signed, sealed, and ready to come to Clifton. It's the first one since Jermaine Lawrence. The difference, Jermaine Lawrence was someone that was a project, right? He was an athlete. He wasn't a shooter. He wasn't a scorer. Abaev is ready to go, man. Like, you watch the guy's tape, he's a 40% three-point shooter. He creates off the dribble. He gets to the bucket. He's huge. He's 6'8". This is so damn big, man. Once you start landing 5 stars and you're Wes Miller, floodgates are open, man. There's no more of this, and I hate to bring up the same players over and over, but that class that they had years ago that was LaQuill Hardnett, and it was Samari Curtis, and it was the class that Mick Cronin left us with to die. And then John Brannon comes in. He's like, let's bring Bryson Spell to the mix. No, enough of those types of recruits. Wes Miller's only been landing 4 and 5 stars since he's been here. Has he landed a single 3?
Was Dan Skillings was like right around the 100 mark? Was he he might have been a 4-star too, though. But he was right.
I think pretty much
Josh
every recruit
Reed.
he's hauled in has been a 4.
Yeah,
I think Josh Reed was.
That'd be it. But
he was still in the top 150. Like, gone are the days where we're not recruiting people in the top 150. It's every single time, and now we're in the top 30.
It's amazing, and I feel like every time I hop on the shows, I feel like I'm exaggerating when I have these takes. But this is the highest recruit we've had since Jermaine Lawrence and then Lance Stevenson. So I feel like I can exaggerate here and say that this is the best high school tape I've seen from a Bearcat commit in my entire life. He has moves that you just don't see at the high school level. And it's awesome that he's playing in the Overtime Elite League so that we can watch along with him all year long because they put out clips like crazy. So not only are we getting this kid early on in the year, we get to watch him the rest of the season. And from what I've seen, I mean, he scored 42 points the other night. He's going to keep rising. They're just going to keep pumping content out of this guy if he keeps putting up 30 plus a night, and he's going to be in the top 20. I mean, he's 19 on three.
He's a McDonald. I mean, he's a top 20 type recruit,
Yeah.
McDonald's All-American type player. Like, you just watch his tape, and he's got everything you need in a basketball player, from the size, from the ability to create, attacking the basket. The one thing that they say is he's shown flashes of being a gifted wing passer when attacking and off the dribble, even able to play off ball screens. It's just a matter of being a more willing passer and needing less time with the ball in his hands on every single catch, where Wes Miller comes into play and coaches him up, right? Now we look at how the roster shakes out. Dan Skillings has already announced that he's gone after this season. Could that change? I mean, it's always possible. If Skillings wasn't able to play much this year, you'd have to think he'd want to come back and improve his stock. But we can expect that Dan Skillings is gone. We know that Simas Lukosius is gone. So 2 players right there that are out the door, and you add in Shon Abaev. Exactly what the doctor ordered, man. Someone that scored. Because assuming Mitchell's here next year, you have rim protection. You have the high-flying athletes. You have your point guard in either Tillery or Jizzle James. You have a small forward and Tyler Betsy that can put the ball in the bucket. And this is someone that can play with Tyler Betsy. He seems versatile. And from everything I have watched, star, man. Star in the making. He even looks cool. He just looks like a cool freaking dude. And we made the announcement video, which makes him even cooler.
I think it was just you. I haven't seen the announcement video yet, but apparently you're in it twice. So
I capped it off. My voice capped it off. I was like, Shon Abaev, is this official now? And that was 7 days ago. That was NKU game. So
Okay.
Chatterbox Bearcats, we broke the news. See, this is the difference with the other publications. They don't run with things because they're afraid of getting in trouble. We're not journalists, Nick. We were at one point. We're not anymore. We don't care. We said this 10 days ago to our following.
Yeah, we took off the suit and tie. Now we're wearing snapback hats. I mean, this is talk about an upgrade.
This is because I haven't showered today. I mean, good God.
Gosh. Oh my goodness. Look, to get back on track, we got our Dan Skillings replacement with Shon Abaev, because he looks like Dan Skillings, but with a silky shot. And Dan might be better rebounding and on defense, but with the ball, Shon is just a more controlled, better shooting Dan Skillings. And I love Dan Skillings. Like, I don't think that's crazy to say. I'm not ragging on Skillings by saying that, but Skillings didn't come in as a 5-star, right? So it's as if, like, we got this version of Dan who's 6'8" on the wing. We're just going to plug and play him in there. And I don't see, it's going to go from, maybe he's not the sort of defender and rebounder, like I mentioned, but offensively, huge replacement for Skillings. And yeah, how the roster shakes out. This was massive because there's a lot of unknown. I know you talked about last night that Dylan Mitchell can't go 1 for 15 from the free throw line if he wants a shot in the NBA. That's absolutely true. But I mean, Dylan Mitchell, does he go to the NBA? Does he test it? You just don't know nowadays. You never know. You never know. So, like, it's massive to get this guy who's elite and is going to come in and make a statement day one, in my opinion. I don't see this guy getting less than, I texted you guys last night. I was like, hey, how many minutes do you think this guy's going to get? I'm in the 30s. Like, he should play a ton. He should play a ton.
So I had the pleasure when I was back in Lexington of covering Calipari's teams, and Calipari's teams got these types of recruits all the time. The 5-stars, the Tyler Heroes, the Shea Gilgeous-Alexanders, PJ Washingtons. Cincinnati hasn't had that luxury, right, of getting McDonald's All-American type players. But what you see is when you have good freshmen, they play a ton, and they're stars on your team. It doesn't matter the age. Now, Betsy was a big-time recruit, too. The difference is with Betsy, he's a shooter, doesn't have the athleticism that Shon Abaev has. Let's just put it this way. Athletically, this is still the write-up. Abaev can really rise high above the rim for explosive finishes, has some unorthodox aspects of his overall body mechanics, tends to play a little upright, and bends more at the waist than he does in his lower body. The progression of his right hand is also a key variable moving forward. As we mentioned, he's a southpaw, How good is his right hand? We will find out. Abaev, a high volume wing rebounder and a competitive defender who rates well on that end of the floor. Basically, everything I'm hearing is everything the Bearcats are going to need next year. Because you look at a potential starting five of Jizzle James, and this is where it gets so difficult because the team's so deep and you never know who's going to make that jump. Could it be Rayvon? But let's just go Jizzle James, Tyler Betsy. Let's throw in Shon Abaev now, Dylan Mitchell. I mean, that's four players right there that you feel very, very comfortable about. That's without touching the portal, right? That's without going out and replacing any of these scholarships of players that could leave, or just the scholarships of CJ Frederick and Aziz Bandego and other guys that you would imagine they'll bring in Porter players from here on out, because two players in a class at this point, high school wise, seems fair to me. Like the rest of the class can be used to go out and find the missing pieces to your team. So when you said before this season, like this is the year, Wes has everything lined up. Next year may be the year too. This may just be us, man. This may just be us.
2 is a sweet spot. It really is nice because you even have people saying that. I mean, there's articles out there that Keyshawn Tillery is one of the most underrated signings in the country as well. So not only do we have this 5-star, I'm going to keep saying 5-star. I'm just going
And
to
you're
keep
going to add in
voting
McKinley,
and
people who Wes has already
Yeah.
said is playing great. So I mean, we're in good hands.
There's 3. There's 3 freshmen because McKinley will be a freshman, and also, I mean, you rattled off 4 out of the 5. I could be wrong. Don't shoot the messenger here, but is it true that Aziz gets another year of eligibility because he had to sit out a few games last year? I keep seeing that. So I don't want to be the one to break that news, but I think that's a possibility. At least I read it on the internet, so it has to be somewhat true, obviously. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
if you read something on the internet, it's usually 100% true, especially when the grammar's wrong and the verbiage looks like it's from a bot out of Asia.
There's a
But
random link.
yeah, but man, I'm excited. Who did Lily compare him to?
Danny Granger.
Danny Granger. The Bearcats have their Danny Granger. This is exciting, man, because I'm an NBA guy. I have been for a long time. And I had the chance to, watch a lot of Jacob Evans for the Warriors and had chances to see Stevenson in Indiana, and Kilpatrick had cups of coffee here and there and actually played pretty well with I think the Bulls and the Nets. Played
Who
really
can forget
well with
that
the
fourth
Bulls and the Nets.
quarter?
Yeah, man, he had his opportunities and shined, and then they just took him away like that. But one thing we haven't had the chance to do, and this is coming from someone that covered Kentucky, is that Kentucky feeling where you have 2 players, 3 players in the association every year. You can get their jerseys. You can get fired up to watch the league because you have your guys in there. UC's been dormant for a long, long time. They have not had a significant impact player since early stages, Lance Stevenson, and before that, Kenyon Martin. They've had guys sprinkled in here and there. Gary Clark got his minutes for the Magic, the Rockets, but I mean,
Max
it's
Seal.
about
It's Max Seal.
yeah. Max Eel. It's about time we get someone that represents the C in the association. And this is someone that we think can be a one and done. He's got the skill set to do it.
I think he's definitely a one and done. Also, like, again, to talk about him playing at Overtime Elite, those announcers, if you haven't seen the clips, those announcers are crazy. Like, they're like screaming. It's entertaining stuff. And one of them called him the next LeBron James. Wild. I mean, I'm not going to say Shon Abaev's the next LeBron James. His announcer did.
He's Brandon Ingram, man.
So you could just say Summer Sang. That's what I was like, Summer Sang, because he said it. He is. He looks like Brandon Ingram. He had this one turnaround, step back 3-point shot. I'll have to just retweet it just so everybody can see what I'm talking about. If you don't follow me on Twitter, do that because I'm about to post this. It's something out of the NBA, and he's in high school. He's got a bag. Like, this kid's not. He's nasty. He's so good, and it's awesome to see because also we beat Coach Cal, and we beat Bruce Pearl. Like, we took down some major programs. This kid's from Florida. It's not like he's a Cincinnati kid where we had this in the bag when he was, off to freshman year. Like, this was a huge get. We took down some programs.
And a late developing get. It sounds like from everything we've heard that Bruce Pearl was in the driver's seat, and one official visit later, Cincinnati becomes the leader of the pack, and they pull him in over Auburn, USC, Syracuse, Dayton, Arkansas. The list goes on and on. Abaev, the number 24 ranked recruit in the country, one of the top 5 small forwards in the entire nation. So continue to keep an eye on his development. See how high he can get, man. Now that he's committed to UC, we'll probably drop down to 40. You know how that works. But I would not be surprised to see him in the top 15 with his skill set. Based on everything we've read and seen and heard, he's polished. He can score. He's got a body that's ready to take on Big 12 collegiate basketball. The biggest question is, how's he going to flow in, a pick and roll offense, or an offense that requires moving the ball at all times and not pounding the ball on the pavement and making his own play. But we'll coach him up. He plays for overtime elite. He's getting his. Abaev scored 40 points over the weekend.
I think he's averaging 37. Like, that's how much he's averaging. I'm not worried about how he fits in at all. Like, get these guys on campus and figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out. So if he keeps averaging 37 points a game, he's gonna rise, like you said. And he just looks like a McDonald's All-American. He looks the part, and he's playing again in this league that pumps out content like crazy. So he's gonna get the internet hype as well. There's no doubt. I'd be shocked if this kid isn't a McDonald's All-American. And then we might have 2 on the roster. When's the last time that's ever happened? We'd have to go back sometime. You're the history guru if that even did happen. I know we had some guys come in out of high school back in the day before rankings were really a thing.
Yeah, maybe DeMar and Kenny Satterfield never played together. I don't remember if Satterfield was a McDonald's All-American. I think it would probably be the first with him and Mitchell. Other things I'm reading, man, just really good at getting downhill. What else?
He just has a quick release as well.
Yeah, it says he has an advanced assortment of runners and floaters when going through the lane, has continued to improve as a spot-up shooter. So everything I read about him, I don't know what he doesn't do well. It's this high-level defender. He's a rebounder. He's got a floater. He's got a turnaround J, can hit threes, can shoot off the dribble. The biggest question mark has been, can he move the ball, and can he be a connector in an offense and not someone that just has to play with the ball in his hands and is an isolation guy. But again, this is a university that we need half-court offense scoring. We have not had it for the longest time, and we will welcome that in there because guess what? This guy on the floor at the same time as Jizzle James and Dylan Mitchell, they're going to be able to run. They're going to be able to run, get out in transition, and finish. What we need is more half-court scorers, and that's what this guy is.
And I was going to say, maybe we need the guy that's not going to pass it too much, because that's been the knock on this team and last year's team, is that we haven't had an alpha. Lily said, I don't think we need an alpha on this team. Seamus is kind of emerging as the alpha, but Dan Skillings obviously has been out. I'm okay with this kid coming in and becoming the alpha if obviously he's knocking down shots and producing. Like, that doesn't bother me. We have been for the last 2 years in search of a number 1 guy. So if he lives up to his rankings, and hopefully the overtime elite is good competition. You also have to factor that in. Maybe he's just, dusting scrubs out there. I don't know, but
he's playing Calvary Christian Academy too. Yeah. Played there in high school, and it was good. So
yeah,
I don't think that's anything to be worried about. The biggest question is Wes gonna take off the handcuffs and let a freshman run the offense? And if we have Jizzle back, it's going to be Jizzle's team, right? And we'll just be a part of the mix with Dylan Mitchell and everyone else, but there's no reason to think he couldn't score 14 a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Downey had a really good freshman year. Kilpatrick is a redshirt freshman who was a little bit older, came in. He was really solid. Jacob Evans had a good freshman year. Gary Clark had a good freshman year. So this is a program that's had dudes that have come in, and Cumberland that have played well as freshmen, but they've never had the dude that's came in and went one and done, aside from Lance Stevenson. He's really the only one.
I feel like I'm definitely part of me is like, hey, stop talking. You're getting ahead of yourself. But then again, like I said earlier, it's like we haven't gotten these guys before, and
we have.
We have,
but it's been a while. It was DeMar Johnson. It was when you were 3 years old.
I was 3 years old, born in '97. Yeah. So okay.
So we were getting those guys, and that's why we're so fired up that we're back. It's because, I mean, this was the logo, when we
Yeah.
were getting those guys, and we were dormant for so long, just hearing of recruits signing, like, all right, we got ourselves I mean, even Kilpatrick, he didn't even have his picture up on
Yeah.
Scout at the time. He was just kind of a under the radar guy, and we'd pull in the Evans of the world, the high 3 stars, the Cumberlands, and had pretty good recruits here and there. But there were way too many times where it was just like, who the hell is Quadri Moore? Who the hell is this guy? Who's this JUCO guy that we brought in from,
Rashawn
uh,
Fredericks. Remember him?
yeah, from he goes to UAB after or Farad Cobb or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we were winning a lot of games with
Yeah.
those dudes, but now it's time to win a lot of games in the tournament with these dudes who everyone in the country wants.
And this is
And
also like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that if he would have held out longer on his commitment, he probably would have even gotten more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, probably. This is also before the transfer portal, like we also can, because 2 years ago, we're scrambling for portal guys. Now we have a base and we can just be choosy and get the right guys in the portal instead of needing guys in the portal. So now we have a
I felt we
base
were
of,
last year.
oh, we
I
were
felt we
last
were
year, but
last year with
th-
Mitchell.
yeah, no, that this year, like this last year's portal was the first time where we can be choosy, but like now we're in fruition. Now we can get a foundation. Like, yeah, the foundation was there going into this year already, but it can only get better and better from here. Now you go after elite guys in the portal. So, which again, like you mentioned, we missed on Sean Stewart, who ended up at Ohio State. And yes, we got Dylan Mitchell, which thank goodness, right? If you stack those stats up to start the year off. But it feels so good to also not only hit on portal guys like Wes has done this year, but still focus on high school recruiting where you see coaches who maybe they're a one-trick pony and they're still stuck in their ways of one or the other. Wes has a good balance, and he's just a good balanced coach in every facet of the game. He's a player's coach, yet he also demands respect from them. He's an elite recruiter. We got to see some of the X's and O's, pick up a little bit. That's going to be this year to tell. But I just love Wes Miller. I really do. I think he's awesome.
His talking point has always been continuity. He talked about it the entire offseason, like how important it was that players in the program like Dan and like Seamoss and Jizzle and guys that have 2, 3, maybe even 4 years of experience on this team know the standard. They can teach the standard to the younger guys coming in. And when you look at how the class is balancing out, unless anything changes with the portal, and that's another thing that you love about Wes Miller, is he hasn't really lost a player that you wanted to lose. Like I think Locken, great player, had his moments for UC, but I think everyone said the best fit is for him to go elsewhere. Jameel Reynolds wasn't high on my retention list. When the Madsons left, not high on my retention list there. Mikey Saunders, not high on the retention list. Like he's kept Hensley, he's kept everyone that we wanted to keep. And that makes you very, very positive, excited, and the expectation for the Bearcats is to keep this thing rolling and have 2, 3 leaders from the class before that grow up in front of your eyes every year while also pulling in 2, 3 portal players. And if you can land a diamond in every year's recruiting class, a 5-star type of guy that can be a one and done, and you mix that in, and all of a sudden, I mean, I saw it firsthand with Kentucky. Now they did it completely different. They'd have 8 freshmen like Shon
Yeah.
Abaev that would come in time and time again. And then fans got so pissed at Cal that he started to have to go after the, graduate transfers, the Nate Sestinas of the world, and um, the dude from Bradley that they brought in years ago, but or Davidson rather. But yeah, Wes has this thing cooking, man. Wes has this thing cooking. I got to get to cooking a French onion dip, and I'm also gonna pick up an old honey baked ham.
Ooh.
Niehaus, what do you got for us on the way out the door? Bearcats are 6-0. They're 16th in the country, and they land a top 30 recruit in basketball. Football's for another day.
This feels so good for many reasons, but the reason I'm going to talk about is because this is the first elite recruit that Wes Miller has gotten on campus. When you look at the guys that we have just barely missed on in the last couple of years, like Isaiah Collier, Flory Badunga, Phylon at Bama, like we have been right there on some of these high elite recruits in the 5-star range. This is the first one that Wes has landed, and it just feels so good. It feels so good, Chuck.
Feels damn good to be a Bearcats fan. Happy Thanksgiving. Thankful for you, Sean. If you tuned into the show today, we're excited to see you in the black and red, the Jordan blocks. Uniforms are back. Bearcats are back. Adding in another 6'8" small forward wing player that can knock down the three at a high clip, that can rise high, finish, is polished to his game, can pull up, does a little bit of everything, man, even defends and rebounds. For Chuck Walter, I am Chuck Walter. For Nick Niehaus, I'm Chuck Walter. Sail the ship home, man. Sail the ship
Hey,
home.
go Cats.